Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we are wrapping up Courtiers. I'm so excited you're here. And yeah, we got chapter 16 to go on behalf of the people, which we will be discussing and going through and talking about the book, and we will be finishing it up. And then, so excited! We're going to be covering Lady C's book, Meghan and Harry, the real story. And I can't wait. I am here for it. We will be talking about it and having fun. As usual, I love her sense of humor. I love her videos, so I can't wait to hear her take on these two. You guys have been really positive in the comments about enjoying her stuff, so I'm excited to dive into that. So just thinking about this, today is, Thursday? I can't even keep my days straight. So I want a couple of days to crack open this book and start taking notes. So how about tomorrow? I will still put up videos, don't you worry. But then Monday, we'll start in on Lady C's book. So look for that coverage to start on Monday. I'll put up videos Friday and over the weekend. You know how I do. I put up a million videos. But we'll start Lady C's book on Monday. That way I'll have a couple of days to sit back and relax and read and enjoy. So look for that and all my other videos as usual. Just want to say thank you so much for supporting the show. If you want to further support, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can find bonus content and fun stuff and the uncensored stuff where we can say the bad words and really get into some of the stuff. But we're doing Harry and Meghan stuff over there, just bonus stuff. Don't worry. I get it. Not everybody can afford it. We're still doing like a million videos over here. It's just bonus stuff, but we have a lot of fun and we don't have to censor ourselves because of YouTube over there. That's the only reason I bring it up. But a huge thank you to my executive producers. If you want to become an executive producer, check out patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. So this is where I would normally dive right into this book, and we're gonna, but I have to talk about what's going on in the background. You guys, I was aware of her stupid tongue sticky outy thing before, but in researching for this video, I could not believe how many pictures I found where that is her thing, sticking out her tongue. You tell me what's going on. No, seriously, what's happening? Is it a disrespect thing to the royals? Is it like a coquettish thing? Like, I think I'm so cute. Here's my tongue. I don't understand. I'd heard the story that that's one of the reasons they had gotten thrown out of the garden party, allegedly, is that she had stuck her tongue out at Camilla. Is that what you guys have heard? What's going on with the tongue? Even Harry, dum-dum, fell in love with her over this dog picture with a giant tongue. So maybe it's I can't even finish this. Maybe it's something they're into. I don't know. I'm sure I'm on some watch list somewhere because I'm Googling Meghan Markle's tongue. But to quote my very southern relatives, act like you've been somewhere, you know? Act like you've been somewhere. Don't act like this. Ugh. These two are a match made in hell, by the way. All right, Chapter 6, Tongue. Chapter 16, On Behalf of the People. So this is the last chapter of the book, and there are definitely some interesting parts to this chapter, but it also just kind of wraps up the courtier's role and all that. So I'm not going to go into all that. I'm just going to hit the highlights as I do. The very first sentence in this chapter says, writing about the royal family is often a predictable affair, unless perhaps Prince Harry is involved, which I thought, I love it. So he talks about how normal they can all be, except for Prince Harry. P.S. People hate it when I call him Prince Harry. I get it. I hate it too. I think he should definitely have his title stripped. That's a YouTube thing. So that way when people search Prince Harry, because that's what they're still searching, then they can find the video. That's the only reason I acknowledge it. Believe me, I think they should definitely have their title stripped. So I'm sure you're aware, but in case you're not, Valentine Low, of course, as I mentioned, he was a reporter for the Times. And he was actually the one to publish bullying allegations. So I love him for that. Going back to spare us, remember Harry says it was like a smear campaign, I believe were the words he used, saying that it came out a couple days before the Oprah interview just to try to deflect. Well, Valentine says, no, that's not what happened. It's that his sources for the accusation, the people that he'd been talking to for the article, wanted it to come out because they were keen at getting it out because Meghan's account of what happened when she was part of the institution should not be the only version of history. He was writing his story about it. He approached Buckingham Palace and the Sussexes for a statement, and he says that the Sussexes didn't hesitate to issue a strongly worded statement condemning the report as I mentioned, quote, a smear campaign, but the palace wisely stayed silent. Then, on the evening after the story was published, it released its statement. I'm going to read the statement. We are clearly very concerned about allegations in the Times following claims made by former staff of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Accordingly, our HR team will look into the circumstances outlined in the article. Members of staff involved at time, including two who have left the household, will be invited to participate to see if lessons can be learned. The royal household has a dignity at work policy in place for a number of years and does not and will not tolerate bullying or harassment in the workplace. The irony is not lost on me, by the way, that I am sitting here talking about the most horrible accusations, a horrible work environment, all that, and we got this Duchess dickhead on the screen with her tongue hanging out. Back to the report. Okay. It later emerged that the palace had appointed an outside firm of solicitors to conduct the inquiry. In all the years that Valentine has reported on the royal family, he's never known the palace to respond so swiftly and so decisively to a story. But the problem is, was it too little, too late? Been 2.5 years since Knopf had made his allegations, and unfortunately absolutely nothing had been done then. But at least they were doing something now and had made a public commitment to do so. Some people were pleased with this. Some thought this was a misstep on behalf of the palace, not doing the inquiry but actually announcing it, because they regarded it as a tactical mistake. They wondered, what did the palace think the outcome would be? And by announcing the inquiry, they were setting a trap for themselves because it could only lead to further criticism of the palace and, the way they handled things. In June 2022, Buckingham Palace said it would not be releasing the outcome of the inquiry or even revealing what lessons had been learned, supposedly on grounds of confidentiality. But most people suspected the real reason they were bearing the report was, this is infuriating, quote, to try to keep peace with Harry and Meghan. Courtiers, help me out here. You guys always have the most sage and sound comments, so I need to know. Do you think that's what it was? I would love to get my hands on these reports. I mean, I would pay a disgusting amount of money that I don't have to get my hands on these reports. But no, seriously, what the hell? What came of these? I need to know every detail, and I understand that people, confidentiality, all that, redact their names, it's fine, but I want to know who did what. I really do. I want to know exactly what's in that report, and I want to know what the palace did about it. And is that the case? Is the palace just trying to keep the peace with Harry and Meghan? I'm pro-royal family, but I gotta wonder if that's it. And it makes me sick to say that. I hate it. Cannot let this tongue-sticking-outy bitch and her has-no-balls husband win. Okay, so after less than a week after the Times story, then the Oprah interview happened. After this, the racist word was being thrown around. So the Courtiers tried to help. They agreed on a statement. They wrote something out. And to quote Valentine Low, he says, and precisely nothing happened. The palace stayed completely silent because the queen decided she wanted to sleep on it. This is where I love the queen. She's so smart. Even at 94 years old. She was incredibly smart and thinking about the best way to handle this. I hate that she had to deal with this at 94 years old, by the way. Screw you, Harry and Meghan. But she decided she was going to sleep on it. She was not going to be rushed into saying anything. It was a reminder that while courtiers might do the groundwork, the final decisions are made by the royal family. Now, I love this. You ready for this sentence? One of my favorite sentences of the whole book, because also it spits in the face of dumbass Harry. At the age of 94, the queen was very much still in charge. And that's just such a powerful statement, because if you remember correctly, in Spare, and I believe maybe in an interview, but definitely in Spare, no, I think he said in an interview too, now it's going to bug me, that he was worried that the Queen was not surrounded by the right people and they were feeding her the wrong things. Remember, especially in regards to the Sandringham Summit, he just wanted to talk to his grandmother because he was afraid that she was surrounded by the wrong people, basically saying she could be influenced. And then that she was sitting back and not making the decision, and that Charles and William were running things. I'll tell you what he was doing. He was still trying to pretend, very poorly, to kiss ass to the Queen just in case, while shitting on Charles and William. That's what he was doing. But Valentine says what we all know, except for Harry and Meghan, that at the age of 94, the Queen was very much still in charge. Love the Queen. Okay. The 4-sentence statement was eventually released just before 5:30 p.m. the following day. Here's the statement. You ready? You know I love this statement. The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, ding, 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 I love it. They are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry and Meghan and Archie will always be much loved family members. Okay, I get why she had to put that in. She's a very nice lady. Fuck those people. But I love it. Recollections may vary, which is amazing. So then he goes on to say the phrase, quote, some recollections may vary, immediately became the stuff of royal legend. You better believe it is. Everything I own now says recollections may vary on it. It's my favorite saying, and it's on my merch, so check it out. So this hellhound here and her stupid husband were giving the Queen hell at 94 years old, and she was still handling it like a champ. I love her so much. I can't say that enough. Okay, a few days later, Prince William attacked the issue head on when, in response to a shouted question from a television reporter, he said, quote, we are very much not a racist family. So the book wraps up talking more about the Courtiers and how at the end of the day, you are working for a family. And that if you're in government, it's about policy, but this is a family. There's no policy. It's all emotionally managed. So there's lots of, infighting and maneuvering and that sort of thing, but there's also a heart to it. And on the second to last page, he does give William and Catherine a huge nod because he talks about a tour that they did. It's one that I discussed. It was in Revenge, where they had gone to the Caribbean, and it was plagued by a series of PR missteps. Thank you, Meghan Markle, for that nonsense. Thank you, Oprah, and dumbass Harry for that. But at the end of the tour, William took the highly unusual step of releasing a statement after the tour in which he summed up his feelings about it. So the reason that he brings this up is because he's showing that William, unlike Harold and Fraud, William is in listening mode. He's in thinking mode. He's reacting. So he says he definitely won't be speaking out regularly, but he believes that if the monarchy has something to say, then it should say it. I do wish they would say a little bit more about Harold, but that's another story. He wants the monarchy to continue to be a unifying force to bridge the gap. He listens to people. He really does. And he's got a clear vision for the future. He's very alive to what is modern and relevant and is very thoughtful. I love William so much. I respect the monarchy. I respect the situation. I respect it all. So do not read into what I'm about to say. But I wish, with all respect to King Charles, I wish William was becoming the king. That's just me, an American from far, far away, my observation. I just love him so much. And of course, I love Catherine. So I just think he seems like a really cool dude. And every book I've read, they've had nothing but great things to say about him. And so I think it is interesting, right? Everybody's saying wonderful things about William and Catherine and how dreadful Harry and Meghan are. And as I've talked to many of you in the comments about, you know, you can find anybody to say something bad about anybody. So one or two bad things about somebody is easy to dismiss. But when this many people are coming forward to say what monsters Harold and Fraud are, I think you got to listen. That's all I'm saying. All right. And then the book ends with a wonderful quote that I thought was so fun, where he explains that, well, let me just read it to you. Okay. You will, let's see, what was it? They will do worse than to remember the words of an earlier queen to one of her courtiers. When Queen Elizabeth I made Sir William Cecil Secretary of State in 1558, she told him, quote, "You will not be corrupted by any manner of gift, and you will be faithful to the state. And without respect of my private will, you will give me that counsel that you think is best." I think that's so cool, and that's such an interesting, and that does make me more interested in the Courtiers and how it works, and it's kind of a fascinating. I'll definitely go back and read the parts that I kind of skimmed over on my own time. I just didn't know how to make it interesting for the video. That's why I just wanted to get to the juice of Harry and Meghan. But I think Valentine is he's obviously really thought out this book and done a lot of research. It can definitely be dry. And a lot of you had warned me about that. And I had gotten it on audiobook as well. I have a hard copy and audiobook. And listening to that is interesting. So it's just hard because I came off Revenge, which was so dynamic in the reading of it and the telling of it. And this one definitely was a little more dry in parts, but hopefully I plucked out the most juicy bits for you. That was my intention with this. But again, overall a good book. But I am super excited to dive into Lady C's book. This should be lots of fun. I've seen some of her stuff and I find her very funny in the way she tells things. I am not familiar with her writing, and I really don't know much about her backstory, so I'm excited to read this and excited to learn more about Lady C herself. So again, today's Thursday. I will definitely have videos up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Look for that. But then on Monday, we will start up Meghan and Harry, the real story, Lady Colin Campbell. Oh, just a heads up. I don't know if it still is, but I downloaded this book, I don't know, a week ago. I actually bought the physical book because I like to have it in front of me to highlight. But if you're an Audible member, it's free to download. It was just part of the, I don't know, membership or whatever. They just let me download it. So I'm like, heck yeah, that's great. So if you're an Audible member, I do believe it is a free download. So check that out. We will pick that up on Monday, and I'm here for it. I can't wait. As always, a huge thank you for supporting this show. I'm so glad you're here. If you want to further support the show, check out patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. It's bonus stuff. It's uncensored stuff. Definitely check it out. We do Harold and Fraud stuff every couple of days. We're putting something up. We do the uncensored stuff over there. So check that out. I do want to thank my executive producers. If you're like, hey, Jen, what's that? You can become one at Patreon. So let me say a big thank you to you guys. Huge thank you to Kristen. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mr. K. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Aaron and Frank. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ann M. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ann H. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Kay King. Thank you, Glennis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dewey. Thank you to Patty. Thank you, Adair Becker. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Barb G. Thank you, Diana LOL. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Allison B. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, KT. Thank you, Jolene. And thank you, Stromboli. Guys, I really appreciate you. If you want your own shout out, like I say, check out patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps or check out my merch. I got This Is a Load of Pants, which is something I started saying when I was covering in Just Like That because it was a load of pants. I got Hank and Skank, I got Recollections May Vary, and I have my Make It Make Sense stuff. So check that out. I'll leave a link below, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.